His name is Robin. He just stopped a liquor store robbery. A police officer arrives and demands the boy drop the gun he took off the crook. The boy is confused. He's a Robin. He's a good guy. The crook uses this opportunity to disarm the boy, and the criminal rushes the cop. The Robin begins to panic as the two men struggle over the cop's gun, and when the crook is able to take the weapon off the officer, the young man opens fire.
We want cancer. We want cancer.
Thousands of people are singing about the man on the flying trapeze. I am the only one in the world who knows who he really is. Listen.
Yeah.
In the aftermath of the shooting, the public is quick to turn on the Robins. A prominent Gotham politician named Noctua, a member of the city council, creates a law that prohibits any Robin paraphernalia, and at no time at all, the police issue a harsh crackdown against anyone suspected of being a Robin. They are children, and the adults will do what is best for them. Duke Thomas, another Robin, is not worried about this news, confident they will be fine. But his friend Rico Sheridan was already caught with Robin gear and was forced to join the Gotham Academy. And Duke finds himself confronted by a cop as well. It seems even something as simple as wearing red shoes is enough to be considered a potential Robin, and the young man is placed under arrest. The cop forces Duke into his car and takes the boy to his precinct, but Duke claims he is innocent. After all, if he was a Robin, he could get out of these cuffs. He'd also know that the GCPD have an emergency fire safety lever on the back of their cars, which would unlock their doors, and that they are driving on the East Side Highway, where he could easily jump into the Gotham River and escape. The fact that he doesn't take advantage of any of this would qualify as proof that he's not Robin. Except for one problem. He is Robin. Escaping from police custody, Duke contacts a fellow Robin and says they need to plan a meeting immediately. Everyone needs to come. Meanwhile, Councilwoman Noctua comes home, where she is greeted by the Court of the Owls. The clandestine society that has controlled Gotham since the very beginning is impressed by the city councilor's progress in the war against Robin. But what Noctua wants is unprecedented. Her desire to join the Owls is hampered by the fact that her father is unknown, and her mother was an immigrant whore. But Noctua is unmoved by these words. She earned everything she has, only to find that the real power behind Gotham was not in the government. If the Owls want a war, she demands a mask. Over in a seedy bar, a young man overhears another patron, who blames Batman for all of this. Why would a superhero need kids running around in costumes? What kid needs that kind of crap? The young man speaks up and says that some kids do need this sort of help and direction, which the other patron finds stupid. But Jason Todd does not agree with this sentiment and knocks the drunk out cold with one punch. The Red Hood leaves the bar and is contacted by Tim Drake. The third Robin is concerned about the new wave of children taking up their former moniker. He's found that the kids are meeting up and they are about to have one very rude guest. Jason and Tim agree to get to the meeting as soon as they can. As they head out, the meeting of Robins begins. Duke says they are being hunted for no good reason, but they must focus on a solution. They need the Robin who was at the liquor store, the one who murdered two men, the one who started this all, even if it was an accident, to publicly come forward. They need to show Gotham that they are responsible. They need to show the world that they are Robin. But one unexpected onlooker begs to differ. They aren't Robin. Damian Wayne is. And though he's been away for a little while, he's none too happy to find what he has returned to. The boy asks if Duke is their leader, and when Thomas replies that they have no leader, Damian declares himself in charge. And as their newly appointed leader, he has one order. Go home. Stop wearing that stuff. You look stupid, and you're going to get killed. Duke and the others are shocked at these words and realize they are talking to the real Robin. Damian replies that these children are untrained frauds, and he's not interested in discussing this further. If they are really, truly Robin, then they're going to have to defend themselves. Duke doesn't want to start a fight, but Damian is only interested in finishing one. He calls them all amateurs and swears he could take down an army of them. Regrouping, Duke says that Damian's going to have to prove that claim. The fight escalates and pretty soon 2 buildings are lit on fire. Jim Gordon is called in, and though he is reluctant to act, he does his duty and is on the scene in no time at all. The new Batman orders the children to surrender and says that under the authority of the new Robin laws, they are all under arrest. The kids comply and surrender, but Damian stands his ground and demands to know who he is talking to. Jim replies that he is Batman, and Robin, looking around to see if somebody's joking, is thoroughly unimpressed. Damian explains how he was trying to get these kids to stop, but Gordon tersely replies that he is a child and must obey. Wayne is no child, however. He's not one of them. He's Robin. Gordon doesn't care and knocks the boy into the city streets. Damian says that this is Gotham. Gotham is Batman and Robin. It's Commissioner Gordon up on a roof. It's the bat signal in the air. The damn penguin flying a damn umbrella. Damian is Gotham, and this guy, well, this guy is nothing. The kids look on surprised, and some of them wonder if they really can call themselves Robin if Robins are supposed to be able to do things like take down the new Batman, and they quickly disperse on Damian's orders. The boy is then annoyed to find that Red Hood and Red Robin have been watching him. Wayne is not interested in his predecessors, but they want to work together, and they think it would be best if they call him together. After all, for something like this, well, who else to get involved than the first Robin himself? Far away, Dick Grayson is completing a mission for Spiral when he gets the call. In spite of the protests from his superiors, at the end of the day, first and always foremost, he is Robin. Later, Duke meets up with a Robin named Travis, the boy who started all of this. The young man confesses to everything and asks what he should do. Duke says if he was in this position, he'd turn himself in. Like Damian said, a true Robin finishes the fight. He's got to stand up and tell them what happened. It will be good. But it's Travis's choice. He's a Robin. He carries this responsibility alone. Travis accepts these words, and before Duke leaves, he asks if Thomas has ever heard of the song The Man on the Flying Trapeze. Travis met Robin once, the very first one. Dick saved the young man from a burning building. Travis was scared after the incident, so Grayson sang him that song. Travis still sings it. He can't stop. He flies through the air with the greatest of ease, the daring young man on the flying trapeze. His moves are all graceful, all the girls he does please, and my love he has stolen up. We have received word from the Talon of a successful operation on our original Catalyst subject. The Robin War shall proceed as scheduled. Even more encouraging, as predicted, the others turned to him almost immediately. They made direct contact yesterday. Dick Grayson arrived in the city this morning. All is well. The gray sun of Gotham is here. Soon, the Nightwing will rise again. These days, many people are calling themselves Robin, but Damian Wayne says they are not worthy of the name, and reluctantly, Dick Grayson agrees. The kids are untrained and undisciplined. They are eager when they should be scared. They are scared when they should be eager. They're not Robin, at least not yet. Grayson was Robin, the very first. He wore the colors they are wearing. He bled them black. And that means he's responsible for whatever happens to them, whatever they've done, and whatever they're going to do. The kids need training, so Dick and his brothers are going to do it. The kids have guts, but it's time to prove they are capable of glory. It's time for the kids to go to Robin School. The 4 original Robins divide up the newbies into groups, each beginning their own training regiment. Tim Drake begins his session by insisting that he and his Robins fight one another blindfolded. To be a Robin, you have to understand the unknown and seek to learn it. You must ask yourself how to see in the dark. Batman once told Tim that being a Robin can be summarized with one word: investigation. Jason Todd takes his kids above ground, ignoring Dick's instructions to stay in the sewers. There he brings them to a mob gathering. He orders the kids to go and bring him back a wheel from each of the mobsters' cars. As they dive down to complete the task, Red Hood remarks that Grayson is going to be all mad when everyone gets shot, but he is surprised when one of the Robins, a young man named Dax, returns with both a steering wheel and a tire, having not been sure of which type of wheel Jason meant. Truly impressed, the Red Hood says that Batman once told him that being a Robin comes down to one word: confidence. Meanwhile, Damian Wayne pummels his trainees. He insists they are all weak and a waste of his time. Knocking them all to the ground, he calls them scum. Nothing. None of them understand what it takes to be a Robin, but Batman once told Damian it all comes down to one word: suffering. However, one young woman named Izzy gets up and taunts the young Wayne. She insists they continue the fight. Elsewhere, Dick Grayson begins a one-on-one training session with Duke Thomas. The first Robin is meeting as many of the kids as he can. As they practice fighting, Grayson is surprised when Duke reveals that he knows Dick's identity. It wasn't even that hard, given the public knowledge that Dick Grayson is Nightwing, and the first Robin is impressed. Above ground, Jim Gordon is listening in on the Robins. It turns out he has a source on the inside, feeding him information. As Gordon listens to Dick Grayson's words, he remains conflicted about the situation. Down below, Dick announces he has 4 missions that need to be completed. He has each of the original Robins pick their best pupil, and they set out to complete their task. Dre, a Robin and the son of a mobster, is chosen by Tim. They are to break into a police station and find out what the cops are planning. Dax and the Red Hood are to see what weapons the police have ready, by getting their attention and seeing what comes their way. Izzy and Damian are to deal with the new Batman. And finally, Duke and Grayson are going to be the reserve team. If anyone needs their help, they will come. While Duke sits and waits, he expects a lecture from Grayson, but Dick doesn't have anything to say. The first Robin asks if Duke thinks that only the originals understand how to be a Robin, and Thomas says he doesn't think that. Grayson doesn't feel that way either. Meanwhile, the other 3 missions go horribly wrong, as they find the police are waiting for them. Every one of the Robins, including those hiding underground, find themselves captured by the cops. Damian realizes they have been betrayed, and he knows exactly who is responsible. Who else but him, the tight-ass who thinks they are all still children. As Duke and Grayson are also surrounded by the police, the first Robin admits he betrayed them all. Duke is shocked, but Grayson explains that he couldn't keep all the Robins out of jail, so he trained them as best and as quickly as he could, then made sure the arrests were clean and safe. Grayson then begins to scale a wall, knowing that climbing and heights aren't really Duke's specialty. When Dick figures out what is going on here, he'll need his army ready to break out. But for now, this whole mess is his responsibility, and he's going to get to the bottom of this alone. Duke follows Grayson, and the first Robin asks Thomas to explain the situation to the others. Duke is a natural-born leader, and it's time for him to start leading. The police capture Duke, who is furious, while Dick prepares to jump away. Batman once told Grayson that being a Robin is about one thing: family, and Dick takes care of his family. Unseen by anyone, Dick is watched by an owl. They are pleased that Grayson is doing as they taught him. A good Nightwing takes care of his family, and the Court of the Owls will always take care of him. In the streets of Gotham City, Jim Gordon is under attack. Dick Grayson says he is fighting on the wrong side of all of this, and anybody who gives a damn about fighting for what's right would understand this. 1 hour earlier, Jim and Harvey Bullock surveyed the new facilities housing the captured Robins. Both men were shocked at this facility's crude housing, and Jim Gordon considered the cage a major violation of civil rights. The Robins were unsettled as well. The cops are waiting for somebody. As Bullock and Gordon leave, Damian contemplated escaping. Outside, Jim contacted Councilwoman Noctua and declared he had serious misgivings over how the children were being treated. The politician brushed off these concerns, so Jim got into his mech suit and vowed to get to the bottom of this. He found Dick Grayson, and their battle began. Jim manages to convince the former Nightwing to stop, and the two men start to talk. Hearing Grayson out, Jim realizes he's just been waiting for somebody to give him a voice to what his gut's been telling him all along. They agree to work together, and the two men get down to business. Over in the cage, the police begin to lower the Robins. The officers are dismissed from the prison, and the Robins look on at who is behind all of this. Their onlooker says the children are out of control, and before they do any damage to the Owl's plans for them, for the Grey Sun, and for Gotham, it's time they are dealt with properly. Every day I think about you both, and I wonder what you would say if you could see me now. Mom, Dad, would you be proud of your son if you could see what I've become? Would you cheer me on? Or would it scare you to death to know that your son is a vigilante? Dick Grayson and Jim Gordon swing through the city of Gotham and arrive at Councilwoman Noctua's office. The former Nightwing thinks that Jim may have changed his mind about the Robin kids, but Batman corrects his new ally. He's not changing, just adapting. Jim had to do a lot of adaptation in his years as the police commissioner. The city does that to you. Vigilantism is illegal, but that's a law Gordon learned to see as bent. Grayson comments that he always thought Jim wanted him in child protective custody back when he was Robin. Up on the GCPD rooftop, Gordon would never address Robin, only Batman. Jim doesn't deny he was always uncomfortable with the idea of the Dark Knight working with a teenage partner. It reminded him of the stories of child soldiers overseas. But then Jim would remember reading about stories of young Jewish boys organizing themselves to fight the Nazis in Poland. Back then, their home was under siege, and they wanted to defend it. Gordon never got comfortable with the idea of Robin, but he learned to adapt. Looking through Noctua's office, they confirm that she is indeed behind the cage. Sure enough, the prison is no police facility and doesn't conform to any government regulations. Grayson comments that this was all built using the same method that they always use when they want to build something shady, by hiding it in plain sight. Spying owl statues throughout the office, he says it seems like the Grey Sun of Gotham has an appointment with some birds. Meanwhile, Gordon goes to check up on the kids locked within the cage. Over in the prison facility, the Robins are worried. Damian is still trying to escape, but to no avail. Something above them is controlling the prison mechanism and is preventing their escape. Meanwhile, Tim Drake and Jason Todd have been let out of their cages. A Talon brings them forward and asks the Robins if they really dare to think of themselves as birds. He says in reality they are all just worms, but at least worms with the honor of witnessing their search for the new Grey Sun. Duke is confused at these words, and Damian explains it's all part of some legacy that goes way back with the Owls. The Talon announces that Tim and Jason are to fight to the death. The last man standing gets to take a rightful place with the Owls, and if either of them holds back, they will start executing the prisoners. The two share a meaningful look with Damian and begin to fight. They get into a grapple with one another, and Tim manages to punch Jason in the head, but the Red Hood claims he's been hit harder by D-grade villains and tackles Red Robin to the ground. They continue their fight, but Damian notices something in their movements. The boy can hardly believe what he is seeing, and even stifles a laugh. These crazy bastards are pulling a Grayson. The Red Hood grabs Tim and hurls his successor high into the air. Thinking fast, Damian orders the Robins to stick their hands out, and they catch Red Robin. They throw him from one cage to the next, and Tim makes it to the top. Jason cheers at this, but he is attacked by the Owls, so Todd leaps into battle, unconcerned. Up above, Tim dodges some gunfire and manages to unlock the cages. The Robins strike out at the Owls and are free. The group manages to clear their way out of the prison and onto the rooftop, but they are greeted by more Talons. The Robins are informed they are all about to die. Surrounded by talons, the Robins spring into action. But Rico sits, so terrified she is unable to move, remembering something she heard long ago. Beware the court of owls that watches all the time, ruling Gotham from a shadow perch behind granite and lime. They watch you at your heart, they watch you in your bed. Speak not a whispered word of them, or they'll send a talon for your head. Tim Drake orders the Robins not to hold anything back. These things aren't alive, but rather reanimated servants of the Court of the Owls. Jason Todd has the Robins group up and work together, and Damian agrees. If they are tactical and cooperative, they will win this fight. Jason and Tim look on at the young son of their mentor and are impressed. Drake thinks that they might be able to win this one, but one of the talons disagrees. They heal from every blow, and many of the Robins have started to falter. Suddenly, Damian has an idea. He orders everyone back down into the cage, and tricks a talon into detonating some explosive barrels on the roof. Meanwhile, at Gotham City Hall, Councilwoman Noctua is having a meeting with a representative of the Court of the Owls. They want her to commit fully to their cause, but what they are asking for her to do next is too much. It will expose her. But the Owls don't care. This is a crucial part of a much larger, global plan. She must position the police immediately as they say, or she will no longer be considered for membership within the Owls, and they will revoke the protection they are giving her. She calls the new Batman and says there is an emergency. Deep underground in the Court of the Owls Labyrinth, Dick Grayson is fighting many of the Owls' forces. He demands to know why they care so much about the Robins, and a talon says they are all doomed, and only one man knows why. So Grayson demands to be taken to this person, and the talon calms down, replying the Grey Sun only had to ask. Rocked by the explosion, the Robins regroup inside the cage. Damian remarks that many talons have been awakened for this, and all because of this Grey Sun. He declares that this madness must stop. The others recover and escape, but Damian disappears. While Tim, Jason, and some of the more experienced Robins know this isn't over, they send the rest of the group home. Jason promises to finish their training when all this is done, but for now, their part in all of this is over. Rico mentions that she's seen a talon before, at Gotham Academy, and takes the more experienced Robins to where she saw the Owl's henchmen. They sneak into a tunnel under the school, and discover a sinister facility run by the Owls which is creating elite talons. As they debate what to do, an explosion occurs, and the new Batman appears. He says the Owls are under arrest, and the Robins leap in to help out. This frustrates Jim Gordon, who says they could have worked together. Instead, he had to follow them here, but there's no time for such qualms. The new Batman strikes out at the machine, destroying it. Batman says he was called in to apprehend terrorists and that this place is full of them. He's contacting the police and suggests that the Robins might want to clear out of here while he's waiting for them. The Robins comply, grateful at these words. They begin an escape through a tunnel. Meanwhile, Dick is taken to a man who knows what is happening, Lincoln March. The Owl is unafraid of Grayson and even mocks the young man. He throws his drink into Grayson's face and it burns Dick's eyes. Lincoln's claws are already out. He's gotten what he wanted. Yes, they did want Grayson to join their ranks, but they don't need him anymore. They don't want him anymore. Their plans will be just fine without him, and now they just want Dick to die. Somebody better has come before them and made a most welcome offer. In the sewers of Gotham, the Robins are confronted by a new foe, a new Grey Sun, and the Owls like him so very much. He's not Robin. His name is Taylor. He has been chased, beaten, arrested, and ordered to go home. He's not Robin. He can't be. For those who are, there is now one less. Damian Wayne has joined the Court of the Owls. He tells his former companions that it's over. They have no idea what has happened, what they are facing, or what Damian had to do to save them all. But it doesn't matter. It's over. Damian is now the Dark Heir, and these children need to go home and play with their toys. Duke Thomas is unimpressed and thinks he understands. The Owls did all of this just as part of a recruitment effort. But Thomas doesn't believe Damian's words. He knows better. Damian repeats his last command, but the Robins stand their ground. Jason Todd says things are just getting started, and a brawl begins. Deep in the underground, Dick Grayson looks on in disbelief. He demands an explanation for how they got to Damian, and Lincoln March tells him everything. Damian came to them. Of course he fought them, as he fights everyone. But while he battled with the Talons, March told the young man how the elite Talons were a fail-safe plan for the Owls. If they ever truly lost control over Gotham, they were to be activated. They would destroy what was lost. They told Damian how the failure to procure a gray sun meant a failure of the court to control Gotham. Everything would have to burn, even poor unprotected Bruce Wayne. So an offer was made, and an offer was accepted. Meanwhile, Taylor is playing video games, trying desperately to keep his mind off of what is going on. But he keeps getting messages from the other Robins that were sent home. Something is happening at Gotham Academy. The Robins are facing a battle, and some of the others want to help. But the rest of them are confident the originals can handle this. After all, they are Robin. Over at the Academy, the battle rages on. Damian is able to knock down both Jason Todd and Tim Drake. He insists he is no longer Robin, and once again demands that the trainees go home. When they refuse, he knocks them all out with ease. But Duke Thomas gets up and says things aren't over just yet. Dick Grayson demands that the Owls let Damian go, or he swears he will burn this whole place to the ground. Unafraid, Lincoln March instead makes the man an offer. He presents Grayson with the Nightwing mask and taunts him over this, saying they have been watching Dick for a very long time. He asks if Grayson really thinks this is all just a coincidence. Sure, a bat flies at night, but he was never really comfortable with taking that mantle. Can't you think of another creature that flies at night? Anything come to mind? The cops arrive on the scene, surrounding the deployed Robins. The ones sent home begin to panic. This is going to be a slaughter. They have to do something. This is war. Damian and Duke are locked in a fierce battle while the elite Talons savagely attack the cops. The others ask what to do, and Taylor finally speaks out. Rise or stand down. The choice is always yours, but if you stand down now, you are no Robin. So it is time to decide. Who are you? They are Robin. As they fight, Duke reveals that he figured out Damian a long time ago. He knows that the boy is Batman's son. The son Bruce no longer remembers, because Batman sacrificed everything he had. And now Damian is doing the same thing. The younger Wayne says that Duke doesn't know him, but Thomas thinks that Damian doesn't know himself. Duke understands Damian's actions. He'd probably do the same thing himself. But there's a difference between these two. Duke is not Robin. Damian is. Meanwhile, Grayson is taken to fighting Lincoln, but the Owl is unconcerned. March explains how they can kill Damian thanks to some nanotechnology in his mask. The nanobots have been planted into the boy's skin, so now his life is in the Owl's hands. But the choice is, and always has been, Grayson's. Taylor knocks over one of the elite Talons, but the being is quick to recover and tries to attack the young boy. Fortunately, the Talon is kicked down. Badly beaten, Duke looks on as the Robins rally, and, joined by the new Batman, the tide begins to turn. Not long ago, March was disgraced in the eyes of the Owls. A failure to the world, locked up and forgotten, until he thought of this plan. So they had the cage built. One of their agents staged a liquor store robbery to turn the public against the Robins. They planned everything, and soon enough, the Gray Sun returned. Then they made one of the absurd Robins join the Owls, and when he did, they would trade him for the one they really want. It was a well-executed plan that has led perfectly to this moment. Now all the Grey Sun has to do is say the words. The elite talents will go away. The Robin laws will go away. And as long as the new Grey Sun stays loyal, Damian will live. Learn who you are, accept who you are, then save who you can. Isn't that the lesson of every myth in Gotham? An offer is being made. It should be accepted. All Grayson has to do now is say the words. Later, in the Batcave, the original Robins recover from a hell of a fight. They demand to know where Dick was during all of this, and Grayson explains how he was getting all the evidence they need to put Councilwoman Noctua in jail. Nobody will believe her story about the owls, but that will have to be another fight for another day. The others are still not impressed by this. Tim points out that Grayson lied to them and locked them up, and Jason is furious that Grayson now just expects them to jump right back into this like nothing happened. Damian says that punch-in-the-face Robin and driven-into-the-ground Robin are right, and demands to know why they would ever accept this. Grayson says the answer is simple. Because they did it for Batman. Because Dick did it for Bruce too. And because now, Grayson does all of this for them. In the Gotham cemetery, some of the Robins pay a visit to Travis. They won, but Duke says he can't do this anymore. They're eager when they should be scared. They're scared when they should be eager. They're not Robin. Later on, he goes to a dark alleyway, and Duke remembers a song. He knows Damian is watching, and goads the boy out of hiding. Reluctantly, Robin says hello. Duke points out it is early in the evening, and Damian probably won't have anybody to kick for a few hours. He asks if Wayne wants to go see a movie, and Damian is displeased. He's Robin. He doesn't go see movies, and he doesn't like Duke. But once again, Thomas knows better and says he does. Damian agrees, and they set out to the movies. But he makes it clear that he is Robin. He doesn't eat popcorn.
The High Court of Gotham calls this meeting to order. As you are all aware, we are witnesses today, as we have been witnesses on countless previous days. We come together to see the placing of the mask. We ask now if the subject is willing to accept the covenant. Here, in front of us all, say the words.
I'm not Robin.
Welcome, Grey Son of Gotham. Welcome to the Parliament of Owls.
Hello and welcome to Comic Island. My name is Arden, and this is the complete story of Robin War. Issue to issue, I did enjoy this foray into the world of Robin, and to be honest, I more or less still do. We have this interesting event focused exclusively on the character and idea behind Robin. First, I like Robin. I think he's grossly underestimated and misunderstood by the public at large. There's a lot more to him than just being some kid who young viewers can relate to, and Robin War does a really good job at showing that. Robin is not only consistently a hero in his own right, but can carry a story without Batman. And his legacy has real history with a series of young men and women who have taken up this role, each interpreting it based on their own individual strengths and how they conceptualize both Batman and heroism in general. Robin War revels in this, showcasing each of the 4 original Robins and what they stand for, while also doing a great job at using some of the new Robins to tell a pretty great story overall. This comic also makes use of a virtual army of writers and artists from various Batman-related comics, and though it is very cool, it is a bit of a double-edged sword. It's neat to see all these different creative forces working together, and it's kind of like going to a buffet. You get to try a lot of different stuff without having to invest in a full meal with any one of them. I had fun reading stuff like Grayson or We Are Robin without having to worry about every single issue that came before it. That aspect of Robin War is great, but it's also one of its biggest flaws. Just like a buffet, not everything is going to be of the same quality, and as a result, Robin War's artwork and writing style seems to jump all over the place. But there's one other big problem that's probably worse than the changing art and writing of this story. See, in my eyes, I pretty much know just about everything concerning Batman and his friends from the creation of this character in the 30s all the way to the modern era. So a story featuring an all-new Batman, dozens of Robins, the Court of the Owls, and even passing references to the current status of Bruce Wayne is going to be super confusing to someone who isn't like me. Even a casual Batman fan might watch this video a year from now and wonder, why is Jim Gordon Batman? And what are we supposed to tell them? Oh, there was this story called Endgame and Bruce didn't feel like being Batman anymore for a little while, so for a few months between 2015 to 2016, Jim Gordon was Batman in a mech suit until Bruce decided he did want to be Batman and things went back to normal until all of this got rebooted in summer 2016, so now none of this matters anyways. That's not promising for this comic's historical value or getting new fans into it. I would have a hard time selling this to anybody other than the most diehard of Batman fans. So it's a mixed review overall, but I would recommend it if you can understand what's going on here. And I don't blame you if you can't. There's a lot of confusing stuff and a lot of stuff you're kind of expected to have read already. Oh well, feel free to share your opinion about all of this in the comments section below. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say about all this. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep reading comics.